Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Undisputed Heavyweight Champion of the World show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is Football and Nonsense. Happy Tuesday to you all. It's great to have you back. It's great to be back as the countdown to the indoor football season continues. Looks like both the IFL and NAL are going to be some very competitive leagues to follow once the NFL season has concluded, which got a bit more interesting over the weekend, but we'll get to that in just a second. Got a great show for you tonight and great shows for you this week and then planning next week. I haven't decided yet if the week of Christmas, if I'm going to take that week off, because Christmas is on a Monday. I do shows every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then, of course, New Year's would be on the following Monday. So I could do next week, then take that week off, start fresh, January 2nd, the new year, new show, new me. Even though not really, it'd still be the same. But I don't know, I'm sure I'll have it figured out by the end of the week. But I could throw together a couple of best ofs to close out the year with, or we could continue to talk football and nonsense for those 3 days, reflect on the Christmas holiday that was, and get ready for maybe what some New Year's resolutions are. I do plan on having a special Christmas guest next week, so that should be a lot of fun. Last year I did the Grinch, and yeah, that was a segment of a show that I did that I was accused of stealing someone else's segment. Let it be sunk in that the person that accused me of stealing the segment had Santa Claus on their show. I had the Grinch on mine. So let that first part sink in. Now the next part is that also because during the Christmas season, it is such an original idea to have Santa Claus on your show as a guest that it would have to be stealing if someone else did it. But I had the Grinch on my show, not Santa. I had the Grinch on as a special guest during Christmas time, and I was accused of stealing someone's segments. So, y'all can let that sink in for a little bit, because I certainly had to when it happened. I still get accused of stealing crap to this day, even though, to be honest, when it comes to this individual, their segments aren't worth stealing. They're really not. I'm actually out there in it, doing the footwork, getting credentials, going to events. They're not. I have a devout listener and fan base. They don't. So, anyway, now that little part's out of the way and over with, it came up as I was saying, what time of year it is in the plan for the show. But great show for you tonight. Ameer Ismail, you may remember him last year. He was the head coach of the Bloomington Edge. He has gone from Bloomington to Boston. He's the newly announced head coach of the Massachusetts Pirates of the National Arena League. Now, I know that I was going to try and cover all indoor football, IFL, NAL, CIF, but in all honesty, other than a few players, there's not really a whole lot of people that I know in the CIF, and there hasn't really been a lot of people saying that they want the CIF covered on the show, or for me to even make stops in cities that have CIF teams. That's Champions Indoor Football, because we got Bloomington Edge and the West Michigan Ironmen, who were both CIF teams. They have moved over to the IFL. And then the NAL has its expansion teams and a bunch of others. So we'll see. We'll see how the tour planning goes. I have begun the planning, reaching out to front offices. Please help support the tour by going to teespring.com/thefanshow. It's the official merch store for the Fan Show. You can get your Fan Show gear there, a hoodie, a t-shirt in any color, any size that you want that we have available. And right now, because of Christmas time, we are donating a portion of each order to Toys for Tots. So you place an order, 10% goes to Toys for Tots, and then I get some of that as well. Teespring gets a cut. So it's a win-win-win for everybody involved, and it helps fund the tour. I mean, that's pretty much how I do this, other than working, my 2 jobs. So anyway, now that we've gotten through what's coming up, like I said, good shows all week long, tomorrow and Thursday, just pending a few confirmations from guests. But we've got Ameer coming up at about 20 after the hour, so that means I've got 10 minutes to get through the what? The headlines. And the headlines are that the race to the postseason for the NFL did not become any clearer this weekend, with the exception of a few teams that did in fact clinch their respective divisions. Now, first and foremost, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who mounted a great comeback against division rival the Baltimore Ravens, who were realistically, mathematically, the only team that was still in the hunt for that division. Right now, they're only in the hunt for a playoff spot, that being a wild card, because with the victory over the Ravens, the Steelers have clinched the AFC North. So congratulations, Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody wants to talk about Le'Veon Bell, Big Ben, and Antonio Brown on that team. Chris Boswell deserves some kind of I don't know if you have to make up an award for him, but if he's not your team MVP, I don't know who is, because in a league where you can watch Blair Walsh miss at least 2 field goals a game week in and week out, but yet you've got Chris Boswell going out there with freaking ice in his veins and steel balls down in his groin, and he can nail 50-plus yarders to win you the game. That deserves some kind of recognition. I mean, my goodness. So, props to the Steelers. On the NFC side of things, it is the Philadelphia Eagles that have punched their playoff ticket. They are the winners of the NFC East. Congratulations, Eagles. However, that comes at a cost during the game. Carson Wentz suffered a knee injury. It was confirmed early yesterday morning that he has suffered a torn ACL. Carson Wentz's season is over. So I don't know if we want to do a moment of silence or what. Nick Foles, I think, is probably one of the more serviceable quarterbacks as far as the backup position goes. I think really, if you look around the quarterback landscape, before the trade, Jimmy Garoppolo was probably the best backup that you could have. I think beyond that, Blaine Gabbert for Arizona, even though he was 3rd in the depth chart. Turned out that C.J. Beathard was the better quarterback and a good backup for the 49ers. I hope we keep him around for that. And so then you have Nick Foles. And I mean, really, looking around everywhere else in the NFL, I don't think that there is a better backup than Nick Foles for the Eagles. I honestly can't think of another backup that could be as good. Well, Case Keenum. I mean, if we want to get down to it, if we want to go by depth chart, Case Keenum has hands down been the best backup quarterback this season. But I think next to him, you've got to go Garoppolo, who is now a starter for a different team. Okay, even before that, he probably would have been one of the better backups. He was last year. And then Nick Foles. And yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Matt Moore, maybe, depending on if you have a good Matt Moore day in Miami. Speaking of Miami, though, one thing that people wanted to happen but didn't think would happen is that they got the win last night over the New England Patriots. Now, I didn't watch the game because I heard that it was just going to be one of those blowouts. But what's funny is that I remember every time I set my fantasy lineup, I'll check certain things and I'll see how different members of teams, special teams, kickers, defenses did against other teams. And I could have picked up Miami's kicker, but he had only scored like 5 points against New England. Or no, it was Gostowski. Is one of his season lows was against the Miami Dolphins. And so I was like, huh. And I remember that being kind of a tough game. So it could have been a tough game last night, but I was like, I don't feel like it's worth the watch. I really don't. So I didn't watch it, and then Patriots struggled all game long, and Miami got the win. But I still got the L because I have been eliminated from not one, but both of the fantasy leagues that I advanced to the postseason. One and done I am. Thanks, Gostowski, and your stupid leg. Why would you go for the field goal there when you still need a field goal in the touchdown? It's easier to get set up in field goal range after an onside kick than it is to try to throw a touchdown. So why? Okay, we're gonna do this right now. I didn't think I was gonna have somebody to add to the list of fan show, but after last night, after losing by 0.4 of a point in one league because of that last friggin' field goal by Gostowski, you know what happens? Bill Belichick and Gostowski. This mainly just the Patriots who have already been on the list, and Gronk is on the list all by himself. This one goes out to Bill Belichick and Gostowski for that call to kick the field goal instead of go for the touchdown when you still were going to need either one after. So, you know what happens, Bill Belichick and Gostowski, when you kick a field goal, when you need a touchdown, and it's going to be easier to get a field goal anyway? Do you know what happens when that one field goal single-handedly knocks me out of my fantasy playoffs? Do you know what happens to you when that happens?
You just made the list!
Yeah, I'm bitter. I'm pissed. It was like 92, or no, I think it was like 110 to 16 going into that game, or going into Sunday Night Football. And then they had Le'Veon Bell, who went off, and our defenses both did miserable because they had the Ravens and I had the Steelers. So I got like -6. I should have just benched the damn defense like I wanted to. And then, of course, Gostowski, as well as Jarvis Landry, did not see that coming. So Rob beat me. Rob advances 0.4 of a point. Frick. On a much, much brighter note, San Francisco has now won back-to-back games with Jimmy G. That's right, man. Most handsome man in the NFL is 4-0 as a starter. I mean, that is crazy when you think about it. It really is. I don't know if he can make it 3 in a row because they play the Titans at home, and the Titans they really need a win. But man, their play has been so questionable, and I lose sympathy for teams when they need something but they don't play like they know that they need it. The Redskins, for example, you know what's at stake when you play against certain teams in certain games, but yet you continue to play at a subpar level. You don't play like you know what's at stake. You don't play like you're a team that belongs to be in the discussion. And so then you lose. But let's take a quick look here on the AFC side. Pittsburgh stands alone with a 1-game lead as the number 1 seed at 11-2. New England, they are the number 2 seed at 10-3. Then 3, 4, 5, and 6. You ready for this? Jacksonville 9-4, Kansas City 7-6, Tennessee 8-5, Buffalo 7-6. So Tennessee doesn't necessarily need this win because the next in line are the Ravens 7-6, the Chargers 7-6, Raiders 6-7, Dolphins 6-7. The only way that the Chargers are realistically going to get in, I feel, as if they win the AFC West. But when you have the Bills lingering there at 7-6 as the wild card spot, then I guess it really could go either way. So Tennessee is probably not going to win their division because Jacksonville is 9-4. They have a full game ahead, and I think Jacksonville is playing better football. So Tennessee wants this win to make sure that they keep one of the last 2 wild card spots. They would need this win if they're going to hold out any kind of hope that Jacksonville slips up in the next game or 2 and then they take that division. But San Francisco and Tennessee, I'm excited for that game. I really am. I don't know. I think Baltimore is going to sneak into these playoffs over Buffalo. I call me crazy. Buffalo is just, even if they were to get into the playoffs, they don't belong in the playoffs. They're only in where they are because of the first part of the season, and now they're starting Nathan Peterman. Okay. On the NFC side of things, however, we have number 1, Philadelphia Eagles at 11-2. Number 2, Minnesota Vikings at 10-3. Heartbreaking loss. They had a great rally and comeback against Carolina. Carolina was the better team that day, even though I do not believe that Carolina is the better team between the two of them. Minnesota had a case of the drops, man. Every good player on their team was dropping the ball left and right. Thielen, Diggs, McKinnon, you name it, they dropped it. And they still only lost by a touchdown. The Minnesota Vikings are the real deal in the NFC, folks. The LA Rams, I don't know if the Eagles are really better than the Rams. They did win. That's how they clinched their division. The Rams are 9-4. The Rams have a few kinks to work out, but I think that they've got it at least, and it's reflected in the seeding right now, but they are one of the top 3 teams. The Saints are the number 4 seed at 9-4. I might give them the edge over the Rams, though, just because collectively as a team they have more experience in the postseason. Their coach, their quarterback, obviously, and then the rest of the team. Carolina at 5 at 9-4, and Atlanta 6 at 8-5. In the hunt, as they call it, Seattle back on the outside looking in, 8-5 after that loss that they just took to Jacksonville. That was ugly mess of an ending to a game. Cheap shots, fans throwing stuff. Seattle being Seattle, and it's whatever. Detroit 7-6, Green Bay 7-6. They beat the Browns. Okay. Coming back 21-7 to win in overtime with a walk-off touchdown. Dallas 7-6, and I guess if you really want to say it, Arizona 6-7. Eliminated. First on the list, the Washington Redskins. What'd I just say? You got to play like you want it, like you know what's at stake, and they didn't. So better luck next year, Redskins. I don't think Seattle will make the playoffs, and this is something I said at the beginning of the season. And it was because you have to be able to win in more than at home in primetime. You have to be able to win on the road in East Coast, West Coast time zone games. You have to, and they didn't. Jacksonville got the better of them. So that's pretty much your headlines. San Francisco back-to-back wins for the first time since 2014. Seattle loses on the road to Jacksonville. Ugly finish there. I'm sure fines and suspensions are pending. Haven't really heard much on that. The only real player news was the fact that Carson Wentz is done for the season. How good are the Eagles without him? I don't know. I think they're still a really good team. They've overcome a few really key injuries. Let's see here. Bears just pretty much routed the Bengals 33-7. Lions stay alive in the playoff hunt 24-21 over the Bucks. In the Snow Bowl of 2017, Buffalo over Indy 13-7. Cowboys over the Giants 30-10. Alex Smith and the Chiefs continue their undefeated record over the Oakland Raiders 26-15. That was surprising. 23-0 the Broncos over the Jets. Josh McCown is done for the season with a broken hand. It was very sad for him. 12-7 was the final. Arizona over Tennessee. Like I said, this is a team. This is, the AFC's version of the Redskins. Do they want it or not? Plain and simple. Are they going to be there or are they not? Chargers over the Redskins 30-13. Chargers could win that division, but the Chiefs, man, they're the ones that step up when they need to. I mean, for the most part, there's a few games that they really needed to win that they should have, but the fact is that they still sit atop the division. How crazy is that? And that'll do it for the headlines. So I'm going to go ahead and fetch my guest of the evening. Don't go anywhere. We've got more of the Fan Show coming up after this. You're listening to the Fan Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's the Fan Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am. but the 1% do, they yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons. Like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud.
This is The Sheet.
Gets me all revved up. My face is now red. My ears are just freaking boiling.
He's so raw that Sky hates him.
Yeah, he had 51 touchdowns, 4,900 total yards.
I know y'all like that, but I got to run. And only in Alabama that could happen, I have to say.
They're so good, man. They would win the Big Ten if they were in the Big Ten. You could be doing something vision-based in front of you and reach down and grab a handful of insane goodness.
Give it to him. Kudos. I'm clapping like a golfer. Very good, Johnny. I'm proud of you.
Wow, you guys agree on something again? I'm very impressed. You ever had a bad week? You know, just you walk outside, step in a puddle, like right when you walk outside. I mean, how's there a puddle right outside the house? Or you stand on the curb and somebody drives by and splashes water up on you? Or it's just raining on you, not anyone else?
I will tell you, before you go any further, I cannot hear Chad when he speaks.
Good. Here, listen to the sheet, man. I don't really know what we're doing.
Every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on WBLZ Sports.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the electrical contractor for you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve all your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call, no matter the size of the job, at 740-438-7173. Mention WBLZ Sports, and you'll get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
This is Nick Ciccarelli, the mad scientist of sports. Join me and Dr. D, Derek Jones, live every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, for the Mad Scientist Sports Lab. The big intellect, the experiments on the chalkboard, and the guest subjects will be rolling in. Mad Scientist Sports Lab, only on WBLZ Sports, where we got balls.
Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. He has over 30 years of painting experience. He's interior, exterior, commercial, or residential. Doug Peffer covers it all. Is your house looking ugh? We'll call on Doug. Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing, 404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports and get a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing, 404-966-3361.
Check out Thursday Night Tailgate, where NFL legends live on. We bring you 5 NFL legends every week, sharing their stories and insights, plus our spotlight on the positive. Hear which players are doing great things in their communities. Now on WBLZ Sports Talk Radio and WBLZSports.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am back, but I do not have my guest yet with me, so we'll see if he gives me a call in a minute. Something might have come up, but it's all right. We'll keep talking here about the week that was the NFL, and right now, let's see here. So, official, the Jets have placed quarterback Josh McCown on IR, and quarterback Carson Wentz has also officially been placed on IR. Let's see here if there was anything else. There really wasn't that much that went on as far as like news that we needed to have yesterday and today. Patriots are finalizing a deal with former Browns wide receiver Kenny Britt. Deal should be done shortly, apparently. And let's see here. There's a tweet that says Nick Foles has better stats than Carson Wentz over their first 24 career starts. Wentz had 14 wins, Foles 15. Losses, obviously Wentz 10, Foles 9. Touchdowns, Wentz 35, Foles 42. Wentz interceptions 19, Foles 16. And yards, Wentz 5,845, Foles 6,288. So that's the difference between Wentz and Foles. Now, a lot of those, though, people will say are subject to debate because they were the year that of the Chip Kelly offense in Philadelphia and that amazing year that he had. If you remove that year, he ranks as a pretty average quarterback. But, I don't mean to, put him down. I'm not saying that, there's no hope for you Eagles fans. I certainly hope that he's good. Everybody's saying, oh, man, I don't want a Case Keenum, Nick Foles NFC Championship game. Yeah, you do, because it's football, and these teams are better than just their quarterback, all right? If you want quarterback play, why don't you hop in a time machine and go back to the times that Peyton Manning took his team to the playoff every year just to come up short, okay? Because that's what you get. If you want to be a fan of quarterback play so bad, there's a few teams out there for you, okay? Whether or not you hoist the Lombardi at the end of the season, I don't know. Your chances look kind of slim because the Ravens, they've done it with Dilfer, okay? Remember that? And I guess you could maybe throw Flacco in there. The Bucks, they won it with Gruden and Brad Johnson. Would they give those back because they weren't elite quarterbacks? Probably not. So get off your high horse, okay? It's football. Come on. There's 11 guys on one side of the ball and 11 on the other. Okay? Just chill out with that. But I do think that it should be interesting to see what Foles does because I think Carson Wentz would have won the MVP. And what's the irony of this situation is that Philly, they would need to do terrible these next couple of games in order to support the theory that he was, in fact, their most valuable player. If they win out and they go deep into the playoffs or whatever, then he's less likely to be the MVP because why? Because he wasn't that big of a difference maker. But I don't know. That's hard for me. I think that it should be a wide receiver or running back that earns the MVP this year just because there's so much quarterback talk. But, there's the guys that catch the ball, too. They're important. The guys that catch and run. At this point, Steelers, Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell, they could easily be considered MVPs at this point. But it's not up to me. We always talk about the quarterback. We always narrow it down to the last handful of quarterbacks. So it is what it is. Let me see here. Oh, yeah, Patriots were 0-11 on third down last night. I think that's the first time that's happened in forever, since 1991. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers underwent the scan he needed for this morning. Packers doctors are now evaluating it, and the team hopes to have an answer on his availability on Tuesday. Now, going into this last week, I said that the Packers would probably rush Rodgers to come back if a few things happen. That was if the Seahawks lost, the Vikings lost, and the Lions lost. Now, the Vikings and the Seahawks lost, yes. However, the Lions won. And I think, they're probably more concerned with a wild card spot than a division title at this point. But Atlanta winning did not help that. So I think I saw a post. No, I saw a post. I think, if I recall correctly, that what it said was needed for the Packers was one of 4 different things to happen. They would need the Seahawks to lose one of their 3 that they have remaining this season. Most likely one of those would be against the Rams this week. And if that happens, Packers would obviously need to win out, but the schedule did not favor them winning out, even with Aaron Rodgers back. So this is the kind of thing that seems to happen each year with the Packers where all you have to do is give them hope, and they do it. Where with the Redskins, they control their own fate, and they have all these games that they could easily, that they should win, and they don't. And it's like, we don't even need hope. We need like a cleared path with all below 500 teams and ideal circumstances in order to make this work. Where the Packers are like, we got to win out, and these teams have to lose, and then this has to happen. Okay, hold my beer. like that's how the Packers are every year. It's ridiculous, but best of luck to them. And I think Jacksonville has earned a lot of respect from around the league. I really would like to see them go deep into the playoffs, just because people that do the marketing research and whatever are just like, oh, you don't want Jacksonville deep in the playoffs or even the Super Bowl. Shut up. Just shut up. If they don't belong there, why are they in the league? Just to help balance out the conference or make it easier for divisions? Is scheduling? I don't know. It's a stupid argument. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. Let's see if there's any update from Amir. Ah, there he is. Hold on just a second. All right, ladies and gentlemen, from Bloomington to Boston, he is one of my good friends and the head coach of the Massachusetts Pirates. It is Ameer Ismail. Ameer, good to have you back. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be back.
Yeah, hey, so you and I talked during the offseason. You said that there were a few offers on the table and that you were considering, which one would be the best fit for you. How did it come down to be that the Pirates were your final decision?
Well, I had a previous, connection and relationship with their team president, Jawad Yateen, and he mentioned that, him and his father were planning on getting a team, either, NAL or AFL, and we discussed, the details on, how things wanted to and needed to be ran operationally, and how things were going to work out in terms of a lot, the good and professional resources available to the players to succeed. And we had a connection made with the Patriots as well. So with all those things combined in a big market, I was sold on Boston.
Wow. Yeah, it certainly seems like it's a good fit for you. I assume that it was a conversation where Nick Hague calls you and says, man, if you don't pick Massachusetts, then we're going to have problems.
He said, Coach, get in the car. I'll drive you around. No, it was, me and Nick, we've collaborated after last season, and we kind of, decided to do a little, talking and discussing what our next moves were, as me as a coach and him as a player. And wherever I was going, he was coming. Wherever he was going, I was going to be there as well. So we were trying to make that work out and make it advantageous and, mutually beneficial. And, can't say enough. It's like the perfect situation, his hometown, and I'm new to it, but, he'll show me around and learn as I go along. But as far as I know, it's one of the smartest markets in sports so far, with a great fan base.
Yeah, I think it'll be good for you guys, for that market, to have an indoor team. Did you save a spot on the roster for Nick's dad? Because I'm sure that he's still probably got a few reps left in him.
Yeah, we were thinking about having him be the Pirates mascot. He would definitely sell some extra tickets. I'll tell you that much. He is an awesome man, and has great energy and passion for the game. So, I tell Nick if, he can match his, dad's, energy and passion, he's going to go far. And Nick definitely has those things.
So shed some light a little bit on how the NAL works, because this will be my first time really covering it in depth. And, the IFL just had their coaches and referees meetings that they do annually. But, I talked to Billy Back, I know Rob Storm, and it seems like you guys, I don't know if you have an annual meeting or not, but it kind of seems like there's this open line of communication field between all the different teams in the front office and coaches.
Yeah, so once I told Billy that I was, going to be going to Massachusetts in the NAL, I told him kind of, the details of the league and the situation and how I felt, very comfortable. And, he had an offer as well. So I told him, hey, it'd be great to have you in the league, even though, adding a great competitive coach, I respect him to the utmost, and we're pretty good friends, and we talk on a regular basis. And I've always communicated with him when I was playing and he was coaching, and now as a coach, he's one of the good coaching mentors that I have among others. But once he came along, we've been just kind of talking smack back and forth a little bit. And the funny thing is about, some of the players is, they try to, play both sides. They're like, oh yeah, I want to go to Carolina. Oh yeah, I want to come to Massachusetts. And little do they know that me and Billy are good friends, and we talk, and we're like, oh, what did he say to you? What did he say to you? And it's a funny conversation situation. But outside of that, the league itself is sponsored by Adidas. So we have, great, resources, and the gear is going to be great. The jerseys and pants and everything. I think, that's the first I've heard of any indoor arena league being sponsored by, major company brand. So I think that's an awesome asset to have. And then another unique thing is, our commissioner, I've had, ties with him back to my first, opportunity in AFL when I was, after I was cut with the Kansas City Chiefs, and Chris Siegfried was down in Jacksonville with the Sharks, and that was my first shot with the AFL team, and he was the one to cut me, and so. But he was really nice about it. He made me feel good about myself, and then cut me. He was like, oh, Ameer Ismail, All-American linebacker, nation leader in sacks. Like, he gave me all my stat line, and he's like, hey, unfortunately, bud, we're not going to be able to keep you. You need to gain some weight. And at the time, I'm fresh out of, camp, and I was like maybe 230 at the most. And, linebackers in AFL, you got to be at least 250 to be, successful on a regular basis. And so, just because it wasn't my game, but I've always respected him, and he played and he's coached in arena football, and now he's a commissioner. So he knows what it's like on every end of it, and can't say enough about him. And that's another reason why, the credibility of this league is tremendous, because, he brings it.
Yeah, it certainly had a great season last year. Jacksonville was one of the better teams, and they won the championship. You guys will have them, as well as you've got Coach Billy Back with the new Carolina Cobras. So I think this will be a very competitive season for the NAL. I'm certainly excited about it, and I am waiting anxiously for the schedule to come out so I can make my plans accordingly and hopefully make it to Carolina as well as Massachusetts to visit you guys there. But Coach Back did say that he respects the hell out of you, and that you're the second best dressed guy in the league with your extra large pants and your shirt that's 2 sizes too small.
Hey, that was 2 years ago. Tell him to check the records from last year. I definitely upped my game and fashion last year, but we're not all blessed with a great head of hair that you can do a lot of things with. I gotta rock the bald head, and I got to make do with what I'm given.
Yeah, it was just funny because I said, well, I think Ameer just tries to find the shirts that are just like maybe one size too tight so he can just show off those guns and those pecs. And he's like, I think they're 2 sizes too small.
Oh man, that's funny. It's just I like to just get in good shape during the season. It helps me keep my mind straight and focus on the task at hand. I'm ready to go to battle just like my guys are. So sound body is a sound mind, and that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And last year was your first time as a head coach with Bloomington. You did great there. Winning season took them to the playoffs. So your resume continues to, be well credentialed. But this year you're the head coach in a different league under an expansion team. What's the toughest challenge that you've had to face so far since that announcement?
Well, it's just, a matter of getting the infrastructure that, some teams are already set. They have all their, functionality in front office, and everything is smooth, sponsorships and the education of the community, of the game, and everything that plays into that is always the challenge, but it's also an exciting one because everything is new and you can kind of tweak it the way you want it to be done. And me and for the front office are on the same page, and we work well together, and it should be a very fun season.
Yeah, you guys have made some great signing announcements, and then I know that there's some signing announcements yet to be made that'll make your roster even more than it already is. But what's the word on your quarterback situation? Do you have a guy, or is there negotiations being done with the guy that you want?
Yeah, we're currently in talks with a couple of different guys. I don't want to mention any names because in fear of another team trying to raid and go against me in recruiting. But we'll definitely have a solid, successful, well-known indoor or arena quarterback coming in, and it's to be determined, but it should be finalized within a week or two at the most.
Well, that'll be good. So what's the next step for you then as head coach, and what all powers do you have with the Pirates? Is it strictly coaching, or are you making the roster and signing decisions too?
Yes. Yeah, no, other than, coaching, I am given the autonomy to sign and do the player personnel as well. And this weekend coming up, we have our first, combine and tryout in Massachusetts on Saturday. So looking forward to seeing what the local talent is looking like. And we're expecting almost, close to 80 guys. And, hopefully, wouldn't doubt that we're going to have a couple guys getting offered contracts with all the colleges around and the talent around there. There's Boston College, Holy Cross, and multiple other collegiate programs within a couple hour radius.
Signing and grinding, man. That's what you do.
That's it.
All right, man. Well, I'm ready for that schedule to come out. I'm ready to make my plans to come to Boston, Mass. and see the Pirates hopefully take on the Cobras, and that would be probably a great game to come to. But don't worry, it's top of my list as far as places to go this next season.
Hey, it better be in that order, though. You better come to the Pirates before the Cobras. Otherwise you're going to have some words.
Billy already threatened me and said that I have to come to Carolina first.
Oh, yeah. Who you more scared of, all right? That's
It's a very good point.
No, that's fine. Whatever works best for your schedule. When you can make it, we'll be glad to have you and give you the red carpet treatment, and it should be a great time and a fun atmosphere. That's for sure.
Yeah, as long as Nick Hague's dad can dress up with a patch over one eye and all the pirate get it, a great game day experience.
That's the main allure that it was. You know, I get to hang out with Nick's dad is more frequently. It's great to have that he's going to be around. So.
All right, man. We'll let you get back to it. He's Ameer Ismail, the head coach of the Massachusetts Pirates for the NAL, a good friend of mine. Don't work too hard, but I expect a great season out of you guys.
Hey, thanks a lot, Richard. I appreciate it. Love the Buck Fumble Show. It's awesome.
All right, you take care, man. Thanks.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, was once again Ameer Ismail, one of the first guests I ever had on the show back when it was called the Butt Fumble Show, and always a hoot to have him on. I remember I was doing the interviews for the Spokane Empire, and he was, I think, the third Get to Know You that I did. He was my first post-game interview I ever did, and I think I still have that saved in my phone. And some of the bits that he gave me were absolutely priceless. And and then I had the one-on-one interview with him that I set up as the Get to Know You segment for Coach Ameer Ismail, and it was so funny, so funny. I knew that we were going to have an instant chemistry after that. So big thanks to him for being on the show, and big congratulations for being the guy that gets to move onward and upward. Head coach, Massachusetts Pirates, head coach of an expansion team. The man just, there's another ring to grab, and he reaches out and he gets it. So I cannot wait for this year's indoor football season. So it's going to be awesome. And who are you more scared of, me or Billy Back? Classic Ameer. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put a bow on this Tuesday edition of the Fan Show. Don't forget, of course, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, SoundCloud, or iHeartRadio, where all podcasts are available. So, yes, we are on iHeartRadio. Go to podcast, type in the Fan Show, search, and you can subscribe. iTunes, same thing. Leave us a review on iTunes. That's always a nice thing to do. And then SoundCloud, that's one of the preferred platforms for people that can't listen live, but they can listen later. And then if you can't listen live, there's two ways to do it. Either thefanshow.com and click on the live tab or the listen live button, and you're tuned in. You're listening to me right now. Or you can go to Spreaker.com, and that is where I broadcast to you from within the comfy confines of Fan Cave Studio. And Spreaker is where it posts it to all the social media and everything else. So without Spreaker, this show, I don't know if it would be possible, because I was doing it before Spreaker. Oh, it was so hard. It was like I was going through Podomatic or something. It was such a pain in the ass. So Spreaker has been great. They give me little soundbite buttons like this thing. That's one of theirs, this one. Yep. The rest are mine. The rest are recorded. And, of course, the fan anthem, the intro that you hear is courtesy of my good friend Andy Rumsey. And don't forget, because it is fantasy football playoffs, and even though I'm out, if you're in and if your league is going to crown a champion, what better way to do it than with a belt from UndisputedBelts.com. They are my personal favorite for custom or cookie cutter championship belts. They also offer a series of rings that you can choose from. I think there's 4 different designs. They look gorgeous. I mean, let's just be real here, okay? So belt or ring, however you want to sport your bling. Go to UndisputedBelts.com today. Follow them on social media, Undisputed Belts on Twitter, Undisputed Belts, Instagram, and of course, Facebook.com/Undisputed Belts. That is the belt that I take with me when I go on the Fan Show tour, and I give it to the Fan Show player of the game. We have a post-game interview. They get to look great while they're doing it with the belt. They get to show it off to everybody. And as I went along the tour last year, people started to recognize it. They're like, oh, that's the belt. Even players were like, glad you brought that with you because I'm getting it today. Like, it was awesome. It was a great feeling. Can't wait to do it again. UndisputedBelts.com. Go and check them out. They've got some great cookie cutter designs, ones that are already pre-made, ready to ship out to your champion. Hopefully that's you, But if not, your champion is going to have something that they will never forget, and they'll probably wear around everywhere. Laundry day, to the 7-Eleven for a Slurpee, special occasions, wedding receptions, stuff like that. Undisputed belts. And don't forget my good friends, my partners over at flurrysports.org. You can catch replays of the show over there, but they are crushing it as far as sports coverage, all the different leagues, MLB, NHL, NBA. I'm working to see if we can get some sort of collaboration going where we cover the indoor leagues this season. We'll see about that. But Zach Brunner and the rest of the guys are doing a phenomenal job. I really don't have a whole lot of criticism for them. I wish the show is doing as great as they are. But, where they lack, I make up for. They don't have a show. I do. I don't have a great website. They do, so we partner up like that. So follow the Fan Show on Twitter at Fan Show Official. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/FanShowOfficial. Follow along on the Instagram and Snapchat, The Fan Show. And, of course, your home base for all things football and nonsense is thefanshow.com. I want to thank Ameer Ismail one more time for being my guest tonight. We got great guests coming up tomorrow and Thursday, so that is going to do it for this Tuesday edition of the Fan Show. I wish that there was more, but I mean, we're in it. We're in the thick of it. So if you have made it to your fantasy football playoffs, and if you won and you're moving on, then I wish you the best. I'm bitter, okay? Gostowski, screw you. That's why you're on the list. You're a great kicker, but you just needed to not be last night. One miss. Is that too much to ask? One miss. Wish the opposing team had freaking Blair Walsh. Speaking of Blair Walsh, Seahawks, I feel as if I'm such a broken record right now. How have you not contacted Craig the Leg yet? Because really, I feel like Seattle fans would take almost any kicker over your sorry ass, but yet I know a guy who has posted film, who has been on the show, who I've witnessed make amazing kicks through uprights half the size of the NFL, and you guys are sticking with Blair Walsh. Congratulations, Seattle. That I know Blair Walsh is already on the list. Seattle, though, if they keep this up, the sad thing is that probably 90% of the NFC playoffs are going to come down to a field goal and your kicker. Where the Steelers, they're just going to be kicking right through, man. It's crazy to think about. So until next time, Fan Nation, don't forget you can tune in same time, same place. And that is tomorrow, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Replays of the Fan Show are at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on WBLZ Sports. Download the app or tune in to WBLZSports.com. So until next time, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and remember, of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.